So a couple months ago, I watched Good Omens, and like many people, I thought it was fantastic. And in order to cope with everything that happened this season, I've decided to pick up a 3.5-year-old project and crochet Aziraphale and Crowley. So like I said, this is 3.5 years in the making. Ooh, there goes my light. But it's 3.5 years in the making, mostly because I've wanted to have a character design that I could easily change for different like body types. And I've worked on so many different prototypes for this. I'd say over the years, it was mostly in the first year, but you know. But I've finally gotten to a point where I think I'm happy with it, and I think I have something that I can easily change and shift depending on what I need. Okay, so I've done a little bit more prep work just to make sure everything is good to go. I went back to my drawings and recolored them using the yarns that I have. So I started out with this, which was the yarns I had at the time, and then I made a trip to Joann's because I needed more coaster yarns and other things, and I ended up buying more of the skein tones. It's fine. The colors more accurately reflect him now, and it's fine. Now, in terms of how I'm actually making the clothes, I wanted to test that out as well, so I put them on this red guy. It's very hard to see, might be easier if I do it this way, but also that doesn't work when you're viewing this vertically, like, or horizontally? Yeah, he's just laying here. So I did test the clothes. This is 2 layers here. You can see 1 layer for the vest, 1 layer from the jacket. The pants are also 1 layer. I was a little bit worried at first because they are pretty bulky, especially having 2 layers on here. But like after like thinking about it, getting input from friends, it does actually work like this because like Aziraphale is pretty round, and not only that, but his clothes are bulky as well. If I tell myself it's not gonna work out, I'm gonna be sitting here prototyping this for another 3.5 years and I'll never get anything done. So I've gotta commit. I'm making all of the clothes. That's the commitment I'm making. If I go back on this, it'll be years before this ends. Anyways, enough exposition, let's get into the actual making, shall we? I started out at the feet, making an initial chain and working on both sides of it. What this does is it gives me like a more oval shape than a circle. In order to create that taper that I want for the feet, I put most of my decreases in the side I want to taper, and then I switched to the pants colored yarn to work the rest of the leg. About halfway up the leg, I began stuffing it, and then I created a joint by putting slip stitches through the inside loops to close off the tube. I then continued crocheting in the remaining outside loops. I also decided to rewatch Good Omens as I was making this, in part because I wanted to, and in part to track how much time it took me to make this, so you'll see on screen a note when each episode ends and how much progress I've made, to give you a sense of how long this took me. Anyways, I finished the legs off, and then I realized something went wrong with one of them because the stitches didn't end in quite the same place, and then I had to rip the stitches out to fix it, which is so much fun, but it's also not the biggest deal because it's a pretty quick fix. So now I can start putting these together. I'm gonna go about halfway around this one, so I'm just gonna put that 1 single crochet in, so it's actually about halfway around the leg. Then I'm gonna chain 1 to put a little bit of a gap between the legs and figure out where about halfway through this leg is. Looks to be about here, and just keep on going. Once I got the leg color as high as I wanted it, I switched to my light blue or like shirt colored yarn, and I started working the body with that. This is pretty simple since most of it is just working a bunch of rounds of single crochets without increasing or decreasing. Once I got high enough on the body, I started to put in some decreases so I could taper towards the neck, and I started stuffing the body since when I actually get to the neck, it's gonna be much harder to get fluff in there, so I'd rather deal with that now. I then changed to the skin toned yarn and started making the neck, which I also had to tear out because I made a mistake, but it's not a huge one, so it's fine. The head is pretty basic, just making a big oval thing essentially, and it's just like the body. Most of it doesn't have any increases or decreases. Okay, I've gotten to the point where I can add the safety eyes in. I'm using 8mm safety eyes for this. I'm thinking, I already popped them in just to try it out, but honestly, that doesn't look too bad. I think that's about where we're gonna need to let those sit. So I will pop those in. I did learn that apparently I've been putting these on wrong, like the backings on wrong the entire time I've been doing this. You're supposed to put them on this way, and it's more secure. And then some people like to burn the ends of these down. I tend to do this on smaller ones, like if I'm doing the frogs. Hold on, let me pull the frog. I've got a frog over here. If I'm doing frogs, I like to burn the ends down. You can see there that it's been burned and flattened. Just because of how little space there is up in these eyes. If I left it unburned, it would be like really pokey on the backside. But I mean, for sake of security, I mean, may as well. Just gotta be careful not to inhale too much plastic. I'm gonna just smush it up against the lighter. And there it goes. And it smells so bad. And there we go. All nice and smushed. Yeah, no going back now. Wait for those to cool a little bit more, and then I will stuff the head and keep on schmoovin'. All right, so that is the body all done, which means now I have to start on the hair. I have not once succeeded in crocheting hair. And this is like even more complicated because his hair is like all wavy, but it's short wavy. I'm gonna have to do so much research and planning in order to figure this out. But yeah, I've done this over like last night and today. And then all we have left to do is the hair, which is gonna take the most prep work, and then the clothing, which I already know how to do. I already have the patterns for. So there's not too much work left to do on this. Little did I know that the hair would take me like 7 freaking hours, if not more. Anyways, I started out by making a cap for the hair so that when I sewed the strands in, if I didn't get full coverage, what would show would be the hair color rather than the skin color. After I'd gotten the cap complete, I realized I hadn't added the ears yet, which would have been incredibly helpful for sizing the cap on the head. Please tell me this still fits. Oh my god, it still fits. I'm a genius. I made this perfectly. Everything is perfect. I'm so good at my job. I am the most powerful being alive. But it all worked out, so I started making a bunch of hair strands and then sewed the cap on. And if you're wondering why I did it in this order, so am I. It doesn't make any sense to me either, but you know, when do I ever do things in a logical way? The hair I'm doing here is inspired by Cult Crochet over on Instagram. I was looking for shorter curly hair in this kind of style online so that I could have something to reference since I've really never done this before, but I didn't come across what I was looking for until I saw how they made this. So all of these hair strands are just single rows of single crochet with varying lengths. I put longer strands near the front and top of the head and then shorter ones near the sides and back. This definitely took me the longest out of everything. It was incredibly tedious, but I think it turned out really well. All right, and he is complete. I added a few more little details, so the bow tie, the nose, and then this little chain down here that I made out of embroidery floss and just literally made a chain. This has turned out so well. I am so happy with this, especially like the fading on the vest. This genuinely, hold on. I was worried about how bulky this would be in comparison to this. Like, I did stuff a little bit differently than on here with the clothing, but like the clothes are not as bulky as I expected them to be, and I'm very pleased with that. All in all, this turned out so well. I'm so happy with it. My God. But yeah, now I have to make Crowley, so we'll get into that next time. And I'm also very happy. I leave for break literally in 2 days. Like I fly home for break in 2 days. So this is perfect timing for me. But yeah, that is Aziraphale. I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you enjoyed the process. Leave a like if you did, leave a comment telling me who I should crochet next. Obviously, I'm doing Crowley next, but after that, who knows? Subscribe to see more by me. I also do play some video games, so if you like seeing that, check those out as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!